I'm going to be discussing the ways in which assessment in mathematics has a direct impact upon students' teaching and learning experience. Seeley, Flint et al. States that a major purpose of assessment is to contribute to and enhance student learning. Booker et al. States the three main types of assessment, which are diagnostic, formative and summative assessment. I will be focusing mainly on formative assessment strategies, though most could also be used as summative assessment in relation to the number and algebra strand of the Australian curriculum, mathematics learning area, focusing on a particular year group for each strategy. I also include one example of diagnostic assessment. The first assessment strategy is an authentic assessment, which I will discuss in relation to a shopfront simulation for Year 3 Money and Financial Mathematics content descriptor, which is shown on the screen. As Giardini explains, authentic learning experiences like this assessment increase the engagement in and perceived value of mathematics because they can see it is relevant in the real world. In this assessment, I would adopt the lesson plan and use the attached Let's Go Shopping worksheet, written by Emily Speed. Recording tools would include the assessment worksheet, as shown, as well as video, which is a recording tool suggested by Lejoy, which could then be reviewed later. Analytic rubrics could be used as a criteria assessment recording tool which can assess partial comprehension and achievement of a task, as discussed by Granger. A limitation of utilising authentic assessments is that they may be time-consuming, both to set up and execute, and there is a lot to consider. Among other things, Lejoy explains that they need to be well-planned, reflect the curriculum, be relevant and fit comfortably within learning, and have a clear purpose. Interviews is another assessment strategy, and a great example of this is the use of the curriculum-based Centre Stage 1, which is scheduled for early number assessment, which is a diagnostic assessment and recording tool developed by the New South Wales Department of Education. The two content descriptors for number and place value for kindergarten, which you can see on the screen above, are reflected then in a small snippet which I'm going to show you from Centre 1. It assesses what students know when entering kindergarten, as well as students from overseas, including refugees, when entering the primary school system at any level. There is an incredibly beneficial feedback tool for teaching and providing them with very specific information about students' current knowledge, understanding and skills. Teachers can then plan and individualise their teaching with the aim to increase students' understanding, not just memorisation, as explained by Reyes et al. They also explain that a limitation of this assessment is that teachers may be compelled to teach during the interview in response to errors, but they need to stay mindful of the purpose of the assessment. I think it is important to note here that as standardised assessments such as these, along with other assessments explained in this presentation, are used as reporting tools for schools with feedback about student educational achievement, as well as governments who want to be able to monitor the quality of education and achievements in schools and make adjustments to curriculum accordingly, or which will directly impact what is taught to students. And this is expressed by Silver and Kenny. Parents are also provided feedback through government initiatives such as My School, which is based on this information. Excuse me. Observations, which can occur at any time in the classroom, is another assessment strategy which provides the opportunity for ongoing, varied and criteria-based assessment and allows for student-centred teaching adjustment, all of which Reyes explains is the basis for future assessment. I am discussing this strategy in relation to aspects of the fractions and decimal content descriptor for Year 2, which is shown on the screen. For example, I could observe an activity where students are required in pairs using base 10 blocks to represent on this worksheet and calculate simple fractions of collections. This could also be drawn on the worksheet, which is designed by Anita Chin, of which this is a small part, which could form part of the assessment record. As suggested by Reyes et al., observations could be recorded on index cards or sticky notes for each student and dated and later filed. However, they also highlight the importance of effective and efficient record keeping for reporting assessment results. Sealing et al. Discusses the importance of varied assessment in providing overall picture of student learning, and work samples is another example. Students can apply metacognitive thinking processes discussed by Reyes et al. To reflect on the assessment, considering what worked and what changes they could make in the future when approaching the same or similar task. An example of a visual representation of a work sample, this is an example in relation to the Year 5 content descriptors for patterns and algebra. And this can be kept in portfolios, which can both store digital and concrete samples, as stated by Woolfolk and Margetts. It is evident that assessment impacts student teaching and learning either directly through reflection or through feedback to teachers, parents, schools and governments, who then make changes according to results of assessment. It is therefore important for us as teachers to select relevant, informative assessment tasks to effectively provide feedback that will ultimately always benefit the student.